Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. We are getting really close to the release of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I'm getting really excited about that. I'm having a great time talking about the Harry Potter movies with you guys. Let's get started. Now, ever since this book was split into 2 parts, movie studios everywhere were like, oh, yes, that's what I need to do. Movie studios everywhere became Andy's imitation of Mr. Potato Head in the beginning of Toy Story.
Money.
Because this film and its sequel were critically and financially successful, and so everyone was like, oh, well, let's just make Hunger Games Part 1 and 2. Let's make The Hobbit 3 movies. Let's do that Ascendant Allegiant bullshit, and just, oh, now it's a TV movie. Well, that didn't really work out. After Deathly Hallows was split into 2 parts, studios just saw a financial strategy. They didn't understand that artistically this was a good choice because this book deserves to be 2 movies. So let's get this out of the way. A lot of people were wondering what house I belong to and if I ever took the Pottermore quiz. Well, I took the Pottermore quiz and it turns out I belong to Slytherin. So I'm owning that shit. Something about Part 1 that always gets to me, and on the first time I viewed it especially, is that you know a cliffhanger's coming. Whenever you see a movie called Part 1, you almost expect disappointment. You just kind of go in knowing you're not going to be fully emotionally fulfilled. This movie opens very fast-paced. There's a very creepy introduction to Voldemort and all of his forces. And then we get a very cool motorcycle scene where everyone disguises themselves as Harry Potter. And that made for some incredibly entertaining moments.
Bill, look away. I'm hideous.
And also some very sad moments because Hedwig. Moment of silence for Hedwig. I also really love the sequence where they disguise themselves as people who work for the Ministry of Magic and they infiltrate that place, and Ron gets a little too into his disguise.
Oh my god, what am I gonna do? My wife's all alone downstairs.
Ron, you don't have a wife.
So as I said, they're looking for the Horcruxes, these things that can destroy Voldemort if they collect all of them, and this film is more solemn than the others because our 3 main heroes go on a very private journey alone to find these things, and separating them from everyone else makes the finality of this movie really hit home because you feel like, well, where else are these people gonna go? Everything is really falling to shit at this point, and having them all out alone by themselves without any support from anyone, and as they find these items, and these items sometimes take a toll on them emotionally as wearing some of them make them change, kind of like a little movie called Fellowship of the Ring. You know, I've got to be the first person alive to make that comparison. But as they're in the woods and one of these Horcruxes does take a toll on them emotionally, Ron gets very jealous. Him and Harry have this big argument and Hermione's just kind of sitting there like, boys. And this leads to a separating of our 3 friends that we're so used to seeing together, which makes it even more sad and lonely. And you really do feel like they don't have anyone. This does lead, though, to one of my favorite scenes in the movie, which wasn't in the book, actually, and that's Harry and Hermione dancing. There's something really sweet about it. It's almost like their last fleeting moment of happiness, and they're just back to like, well, life sucks. When Harry returns to where he was born and visits the gravestone, I mean, my God, that scene really got me. That was a really touching moment, and the way it's filmed, the cinematography, the dark lighting, it's all really beautiful. And that's something that I still am totally blown away by when it comes to these Harry Potter movies, because usually in a film series at this point, when you get to this many installments, you have fatigue. You're like, I get it, Harry Potter, he has a wand and he does spells and shit. But not with these movies. They're all good. Like they all build upon each other in very interesting and fun ways, and they keep the characters fresh and interesting. And the filmmakers never seem to sleep through anything. Everyone's always on their A game. Later in the movie, when Harry's in trouble, Ron shows up very rapidly and saves him. He has the sword and everything, and they destroy some of the Horcruxes with it because the sword can do this, which is great. But Ron's appearance was just sort of like, oh shit, like, where's Ron? Here's Ron, there he is, yay! I was like, what? This kind of just happened. And now we get kind of an exposition-y scene where we learn about 3 brothers and the Deathly Hallows and what they are. The Elder Wand, the Resurrection Stone, and the Cloak of Invisibility. Now these 3 things form the Deathly Hallows. Yay! And this leads to a magnificent chase scene through the woods of this forest. I love the way David Yates shot this sequence. It's so breathtaking. After they're captured, though, we get some suspense about what's going to happen to them until they're saved by the one and only Dobby, who fucking dies. You're just kind of sitting there like, ugh, I knew this was coming. I can deal with it. I can do it. I'm a man. Men don't cry. Sometimes men cry, though. And we get a big cliffhanger, as I said, with Voldemort taking the Elder Wand out of Dumbledore's dead fingers and just holding it up to the sky. And then you have to wait for part 2. Guys, in all seriousness, despite taking a book and splitting it into 2 parts and what that sometimes can do cinematically for your experience going to the movies, Deathly Hallows Part 1 is a very fun movie. A very enjoyable film, one that is shot beautifully, very well acted, with a lot of good emotion and a lot of really fun scenes. Is it as action-packed as other Harry Potters? No. But these characters, the direction, the way everything is helmed in this film, and the care that is still being given to these movies in this many installments later, that makes Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 a very good film, and I'm gonna give it a B+. Well guys, we've gotten this far. We got one more to go before Fantastic Beasts. I'm excited to talk about Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2. You guys are the best. Thank you so much as always for watching. If you haven't seen my other Harry Potter reviews, they're all on my channel in a playlist. Thank you once again, and if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.